Whatever else is going on in your life right now, just take a moment, have a seat, and prepare to be taken into the confidences of a world you never thought you'd be privy to. What it takes to be a trivia champion, a Jeopardy boss at that. With us now, in anticipation of the summer gaming season ahead, we welcome from Somerset, New Jersey, Jason Sterlacci, content strategist for Sporkle.com and the 2016 Jeopardy Teachers Tournament champion. In New York, New York, 12-time Jeopardy champion Austin Rogers, who's also host of the podcast A Lot to Learn. And Monica Thieu, PhD student in experimental psychology at Columbia University and the 2012 Jeopardy College champion. It is great to welcome you three to our program tonight. I have to tell you how completely inadequate you make me feel right now, being in your presence. But anyway, let's see how this goes. Austin, why don't you start us off and just talk to us about where trivia began anyway?
Well, there's sort of two strains here. There's one, the word trivia, and there's two, the actual process of asking questions. Like in antiquity, trivia didn't really exist. You didn't ask how many lions did this gladiator kill, and you'd say 74. It was more wordplay and sort of riddles. And then the word trivia comes from trivium, which is the Latin foundation of education. Rhetoric, logic, grammar, and eventually a couple authors used the word trivia for aphorisms and bon mots, but it wasn't until the game shows in the 1940s and 1930s that trivia actually came to its modern meaning, which is quizzing people with questions back and forth. Then a couple of Columbia grad students wrote a book called Trivia, and they wanted to pull the heartstrings of nostalgia, as they said it. And that's sort of where trivia came to be its modern meaning of asking a question, making people scratch your head and go like, oh yeah, I remember that 1970s sitcom. Then, of course, we've got the game shows in the 1950s, Trivial Pursuit, and then modern era, I would say probably starts in 1983 with a certain Canadian hosting a game show. That's where we're at now.
A certain Canadian hosting a game show. Do you want to fill in that blank a little bit?
I'm not familiar with him that much. I think you might be a little bit more, Steve.
He might be the pride of Sudbury, Ontario, maybe, right?
Correct.
And his name's Alex Trebek. There we go. Monica, pick up the story. Why do you think this stuff resonates with so many people so deeply?
I think that there is something with trivia where it feels like an everyman's game. Like anyone could do trivia. Like I watch, football players, basketball players doing their thing, and I know that I could never achieve those feats of physical prowess, but there is something about trivia that feels like when you're watching Jeopardy, there's always that one question that you knew the answer to, no one else who's up at the podium actually knew, and then you feel like, wow, like I could do this. And that feeling of accessibility is, I think, super duper important to getting people to feel like they could be a part of trivia, I guess, as an institution.
Right. And Jason, it's come sort of, well, what do we say? It has become a live phenomenon now. It's not just a matter of watching Jeopardy on TV. It's adapted to live, real-time happenings. How did that all come about?
So the origins of bar trivia or pub trivia or just live trivia anywhere, it goes back a long time, but I think really the forefathers of it would be the United Kingdom and their bar trivia scene. And if you ever get a chance to go over there and play bar trivia, you're in for kind of a shock. It's really super challenging, to be honest. But I think there's just something about getting there, going to your local bar, and getting a chance to just have a few drinks and show off a little bit, or even just have the sense that, I know something and my brain feels good that I know this random piece of information about, some sports team in the 90s or whatever.
Now, let me follow up with you, Jason, because you're the Sporkle guy. And for people who don't know what Sporkle is, this is yet another invention of trivia. It's online, it's quizzes. There are, I guess, millions, if not billions, of quizzes on Sporkle. And what would you say, how many hours a day were you sporkling to the point where you finally got to be the master at it?
Well, there's about 2 or 3 million quizzes for sure on the website, covering anything from, name the US presidents to is this picture a dog or a bagel, which is one of my favorites. I honestly, if you were to ask my wife, she would probably tell you that every spare moment I had in my day was spent on the website. That was while I was teaching. And it got to a point where they decided that I guess I was worth, just I'm on the site so much, just pay him at this point. Yeah.
Are you still married?
Yes. She puts up with it.
Because that kind of sounds like a deal breaker in some households, but somehow you're getting away with it.
I think the fact that I got on Jeopardy validated how much time I spent on Sporkle.
There we go. Well, as long as you mention it, we got a little clip here of you guys at work. So why don't we show this? If you would, please. Let's roll it.
Monica Thieu, a Jeopardy college champion who put her winnings toward tuition at Stanford.
You have now accumulated a 9-day total of 332,400.
20,800 today. Yesterday, 43,401 total. But that gets up to $100,000. Congratulations to all three.
Austin, where did you get the notion that you would be good enough to get on Jeopardy and make it all happen?
It's always been a thing. Jeopardy is the easiest thing on earth to apply to. All you have to do is take an online test, but now you can take that test at any time. So it's just something. I've been hosting live trivia for 12, 14 years. So it's just something that I do casually. Every year I'd take a look at the test, and then you enter into a black box, and you don't know. Eventually, you'll get a phone call that says, come to a live audition. You take the live audition, and then you enter into a black box, and then you don't get a phone call. But if you do get the phone call, that's it. Then you're on the show. It's as easy as that. So I implore everyone to do it. Now, would I be good on it? I had absolutely no idea. And after my first win on the show, I was like, hey, I must have gone a really easy round because that was disturbingly easy. After my second one, I thought, maybe I'm actually good at this. After the third one, I'm like, oh, I actually am good at this. This is pretty fun and enjoyable. And that's the thing. You go into this mind shut saying, I have no idea if I'm going to be good at this. And when you find out you're good at this, it's the biggest rush on earth. So I just say to everyone, give it a shot. And if not, it's a fun 15 minutes of your time to take that test.
You're a 12-time champion?
12 times.
Am I allowed to ask how much money you won being a 12-time champ?
You can Google it, but it's $411,000.
That's not chump change. That's pretty good.
No, it wasn't. It was adequate for New York City.
Gotcha. Okay. Monica, how about now? We saw you in that clip there, Monica. You looked a little different. How old were you when you were on Jeopardy?
The first time I was on Jeopardy, I had just turned 18. So that was definitely a little bit of a shock to be like, oh my God, like I'm on TV. Random people on the internet watch this TV show and have seen me on TV. That was probably like the most surprising thing to me, was realizing how much of like an institution in so many people's lives trivia and Jeopardy is, where like random people would be like, hey, I saw you on Jeopardy. And I was like, you watched that show? Wow. So that was probably the biggest thing to me at that time, and still now.
Okay, but the thing is, you've got to be so focused and concentrating and on your game to play this game, and yet presumably, there's Alex, you're in this studio, there's a studio audience, there's cameras, you got to be a little bit terrified at the same time. How did you manage all that?
Oh, absolutely. Probably the top 3 like most nervous times I've ever been in my life are all Jeopardy related. And the beauty of it is that like it's really easy to forget in the build up to right when, the red light on the camera goes off saying we're rolling now, that it's a bunch of people who have all gathered together in this studio because they love trivia. Like they love writing, answering trivia questions. And so the thing that like really helped me was, as soon as the game started, as soon as Alex starts reading the clues, you're like, I am here to answer those trivia questions. And it became a lot easier for me, at least, to kind of block out everything else that was happening, because it was like, I'm doing something that I love, and it's very easy for me to think about trivia and nothing else.
Jason, what made you think you'd be a boss at trivia on Jeopardy?
When I was in college, I was going from bar to bar in Washington, D.C. That was how I made my money for beer and food and more beer. Basically every bar in Washington, and then I would find places that paid money as opposed to gift certificates and things like that. And it got to a point where every bar in DC was basically like, you're not allowed here for trivia. So I guess I was good enough at that people just said, you should try out, you should try out, you should try out. And like Austin said, it takes 30 seconds and you never know how good you're going to be. So
but the thing is, though, Jason, that like I've heard other people talk about the fact that it's not enough just to know stuff. You've also got to have fantastic hand-eye coordination in order to buzz in at the appropriate moment, because tell us about it. There's a window, right, between which Alex finishes reading the question and then you get to buzz in for the answer, and you got to be a pro at that, right? Explain that.
Yeah, I'd actually say that 90% of the game is knowing how and when to buzz in. I mean, obviously you have to know trivia and you have to watch the show a lot to pick up on the way the answers are written. But knowing that there's these lights on the side of the stage that go off that let you know this is the time to buzz in. And you have to be able to anticipate when those lights are going to go off to let you know, now is my time to click in. I think I speak for all three of us. There are many times where we were on stage, we knew the answer, but by a half a second, we were beaten out by someone else. I mean, it's the story of everyone's experience on the show.
Yeah, Austin, pick up on that if you would. I mean, explain how frustrating it must have been to have known the answer, and yet, by a eighth of a second, you missed buzzing in on time.
Well, that actually never happened to me until I played in the Tournament of Champions. So in my regular season, I had the rhythm. I had the wherewithal. It's almost musical how it works, because Alex reads a question and it'll be like da 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 in France, and you've read ahead. You can read that clue faster than he pronounces it out. So you're just ready for the in France, bink, in France, bink, and you just get that rhythm going. So in my regular season, I had that rhythm. Once I went into the Tournament of Champions, I found myself getting smoked by 98-mile-an-hour fastballs. I'd been playing in AAA the whole time, seeing 88-mile-an-hour fastballs. And then I saw that first 98-mile-an-hour fastball, and I said, oh my God, these are why these are the champions. These are the best of the best. So you don't realize that you're really good at that buzzer until you see someone else who's that good at that buzzer.
Gotcha. I need an experimental psychologist here. Oh, wait, Monica's here. That's great. You're perfect for this next question. What do trivia competitions, Monica, tell us about learning and about memory?
There hasn't been as much research on trivia competitions specifically, something that I'm hoping to get a little bit more into. But one similar thing we can look at are competitions of memorization, for example, where people might try to memorize every single card in a shuffled deck of 52 in order, or as many digits of pi as they can recite as possible. And from those, we learn that people who have some kind of innate memory ability who do best. It's people who learn very specific strategies and practice and become good, even if they were, your average Joe or Jane or whatever before. And it feels like the same can be true of trivia. A lot of what it takes to be successful is not necessarily being some kind of whiz kid prodigy, but taking the time to learn things in the world. Like, anyone can learn this information. And one of the easiest things we can do to help us remember things better is be interested and curious in this information. Curiosity and interest help us think more deeply about things, and that deep thinking helps things stick. And so find the things that you're curious about, learn more about them, and those will stick in your memory, and inevitably someone will ask a trivia question about it and you will know the answer.
Well, Jason, let me pick up the story with you, because you're the Sporkle guy, and I find that for the people watching this who've done Sporkle, they know the names of all 50 states. Now, whether they can come up with them all is another question. They know the names of the top 10 home run hitters of all time. Whether they can come up with them all is another question, or all the presidents or whatever. What are the tricks that you can pass along to help us get that information from the back of the head into the fingertips so that you can actually play the game well?
I think honestly, it comes down to just practice. For example, if I needed to memorize the list of Canadian prime ministers, right? I could probably pull, I don't know, Trudeau, other Trudeau, King, Saint Laurent. Like I could name I could rattle off a few of them, but the first handful, I have no idea. Like, search me. So just practicing and flashcards, just making a list and committing myself to say, hey, I need to know this, and this. And then eventually your brain comes up with like little mnemonics or just like, oh, the person before Stephen Harper was so-and-so. So, I mean, ultimately that's what it comes down to. It's just like figuring out the way your brain remembers little patterns.
Just as you were saying that, a trivia question popped into my head here. Which Canadian Prime Minister's grandson was the star of the Best Picture of the Year at the Academy Awards in, I'm going to say 65, but it might have been 66?
I don't know this. I'm trying to think of my 1960s Best Picture winners now.
Well,
I actually don't know
I'll give you
this.
that. The picture was The Sound of Music.
Oh, was Christopher Plummer's grandfather a prime minister?
You
I
got
had
it.
no idea. Wow, interesting.
There we go. John Abbott was prime minister back in the 1890s, and his grandson was a pretty good actor and made in Canada. Okay, I got us off the path there because that just popped into my head, which is how these trivia games go. Maybe we could do this. Austin, why don't you start us off in this? Give us an example of how one constructs like the perfect trivia question.
Well, you just hit on the head what a perfect trivia question is. You actually nailed it, because what you gave us was enough information to extrapolate what it was, followed by that pang of nostalgia where you go, wow, I had no idea. Now that is
cool.
Stuck in your head. The other thing is sometimes you just think of the answers first. For example, I have a round at my own pub quiz, now virtually, obviously, called Before and After. It comes up on Wheel of Fortune. It comes up on Jeopardy all the time. It's two separate questions that the answers are combined, right? So if I were to say, I would come up with the answer first, but I've now got the question for it. So I know this is close to you, Steve. So if I were to say the discoverer of Greenland and overrated baseball team from a sleepy hamlet in Massachusetts, the answer would be Eric the Red Sox. Eric the Red discovered Greenland, and the Red Sox are from a place that thinks it's a city, but actually is just a tiny village.
Austin, who booked you on this show anyway? That kind of smack talk about the Red Sox is completely inappropriate.
You know what? We don't have baseball right now, so I'll take what competition I can get.
Very good. Okay, that's very clever. That's for Eric the Red Sox. Okay, I got it. Monica, you want to follow up on that? What for you makes for the perfect trivia question?
Honestly, I think Austin hit the nail on the head. And especially when you look at it from the psychology perspective, understanding why a well-written trivia question works the way it is because all of these pieces of information are stored in our brain in this network. And ideally, what you can do is write a question that gives you this piece of information, which then activates this other piece here, which maybe then jumps over here. Now you've got your answer. So, for example, let's say that I don't follow baseball as much, but I do know that Eric the Red is the Viking explorer who first landed in Greenland. Now, if I know that I'm looking for a baseball team that starts with the word red, I can think through all the baseball teams that I can. Maybe I go from to east, I use some kind of strategy, and then I might hit on Red Sox and be like, oh, that must be the answer. So a big part of trivia is you don't always know the answer off the top of your head. A lot of it is learning how to guess in an educated way using what's given to you.
Very cool. So you got to think it through. Jason, what would you add to that?
I agree with both what Austin and Monica said, but I also think that there's a component to, I've been playing a lot of like older trivia things. I've been working on an app for Sporkle that involves playing trivia questions, and I found that like older trivia questions tend to be you either know it or you don't. And that's really not a lot of fun. Like, as an example, maybe I want to get across a fact. So I'll start with like a basic question. So I'm going to ask you this question. I don't expect you to get the answer, but I'm going to rephrase it afterward. So who was the first pitcher to throw 20 strikeouts in a 9-inning game?
The first pitcher to throw 20 strikeouts in a 9-inning game.
Yes.
Okay. Roger Clemens did it. Kerry Wood did it. Randy Johnson did it. Do I know who the first guy to do it was? No, I don't.
Exactly. Right. So you can name some people who threw 20 strikeouts in a game. And honestly, those 3 people were the exact 3 people I thought of as well. So, you're either taking a guess. Maybe you're going to use one of those 3 names, probably Clemens or Johnson, simply because Kerry Wood was a little bit later. Mm-hmm. Or you could use, I don't know, Walter Johnson or Cy Young or Charlie Old Hoss Radburn. Like, the point is, you really don't know unless you happen to know for a fact who it is. So what you can do is you can obviously give context to help activate other parts of your brain. So, for example, if I rewrote this question and I said, what pitcher rocketed to fame by becoming the first to throw 20 strikeouts in a 9-inning game, doing so in 1986? Obviously, now that I've said rocketed, I would hope you come to the conclusion that it's...
Well, it's Roger Clemens because his nickname was the Rocket.
Exactly. And those little, like, obviously not everybody's going to know that Roger Clemens' nickname was the Rocket, but that is a little door into, I think this is who it is.
Jason, we have to establish for everybody watching this right now that you and I didn't set that up at all, and that everybody watching this right now, including you, Jason, ought to be deeply, deeply impressed that I was able to come up with 3 pitchers who've hit 20 Ks during the course of their career once.
I took a big gamble by allowing you to answer that. I was like, as I said it, I was like, I hope he doesn't say Clemens. I hope he doesn't say Clemens. I hope he doesn't say Clemens, because this is going to ruin the whole bit. So, yes, I assure you, those watching at home, I did not go over this with Steve in advance.
Good, thank you. And that will be, unfortunately, my finest moment, because I suspect if any of you have any other questions for me, I'm going to fall flat in my face here. Do I take the risk? Okay, Austin, you can ask me anything you like, anything in terms of trivia, as long as it's about the Red Sox. Go ahead.
Unfortunately, I'm blanking right now, and I'm a huge baseball fan. Anything as long as it's about the Red Sox.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Well, actually, I got one. Now, this is another one that sort of works like that, triggering that little pang, which is, while Synergy Park was being demolished and the Great American Ballpark was being built, Synergy temporarily had a larger wall than this structure. There you go.
Oh, is that right? A larger wall than the Green Monster at Fenway Park.
Exactly. Huh. So again, Jason and Monica both have it. Asking who was prime minister in 1914 is a bad question. Saying, leading us into World War I. Right,
because either you know that or you don't. There's no way to sort of work that through.
Exactly.
Right. Now, there are certain points in the trivia world where you want to ask that question. What is the capital of Burkina Faso? You want to do that because you have to have some sort of base level to establish the trivia combatants' pedigrees. But ultimately, what you want to have to be an effective trivia writer and throw an effective trivia event is these little pangs of nostalgia that get these salivary glands running. I don't even know what aphorism I'm using right now.
Okay, I got to confess, because the capital of Burkina Faso has nothing to do with baseball, I haven't a clue what that is, but let's take this opportunity to tell everybody. You know?
Ouagadougou, I think. I forgot.
Yes.
What is it, guys?
That's correct, Austin.
What's the
answer?
I
got it.
Yes.
It's I can't pronounce. It's Ouagadougou or I cannot pronounce it.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I did have it.
Wow, that's impressive, guys. Extra marks if you can spell it.
What was that?
O-U-A-G-A.
Yeah.
G-O-U.
I'm deeply impressed. Monica, you wanted to say.
I was just thinking, as you were asking, please ask me any question as long as it's only about the Red Sox. They, especially Like, I'm not a trivia writer, more a trivia consumer, but as members of the trivia community, we forget that we have this ability to like sanctify what information is worth knowing by the trivia questions that we ask and thus the knowledge that we reward. And especially being someone who's a little bit younger, for example, I find that a lot of history questions is asked about like, what was so and so doing in his presidency? Like, I am less likely to know that because I would have had to learn that in a history book instead of being alive when these things happened. Or, for example, if the round is about music and it's name that tune, if all of the tunes are played from a time before I was born, like I listened to music from before I was born, of course, but you're less likely to know things when you didn't experience them yourself. And so I think it's really important for us as trivia people to continue like broadening the space of information that belongs in the trivia canon. Like there's lots of things in the world that are worth knowing. We have to remember that like we have a responsibility to reward all of those pieces of knowledge.
Well, let me flip it over to the other side of the coin, Jason, with you, which is on the one hand, you can feel terrific when you come up with an answer to a question that you really had to work through and you got there. But how many times have you done this where, let me put it this way. If I'm doing a Sporkle game and it's name every member of the Baseball Hall of Fame, and, you know, which I might be able to get half of them. It's just really, that's a hard question. But if I forget a member of the Red Sox, like if I forgot Carl Yastrzemski, I'd hate myself and wouldn't forgive myself for an hour and feel terrible about it. Does that happen to you?
Yeah, all the time. Yeah, I'm a big Mets fan. And if you asked me to name every member of the 86 Mets, like I was only 2. So it would be kind of hard for me, but I could name probably about half of them. And then inevitably, you know, you do have those moments where you forget something that's really, really, it happens to all of us. I mean, like my favorite player when I was a kid was Gary Carter. And there have been times where I've played a quiz on Sporkle or done trivia, and the answer has been like Gary Carter or Doc Gooden. And I've just been like, oh my, I can't believe I missed that. But, you know, you move on, you cut your losses and you know, you hope for the best with the next question.
Well, here's a trivia question for all of you. Who are the 3 smartest people that I think I've ever met in my whole life? And the answer would be Monica Thieu, Austin Rogers, and Jason Sterlacci. You guys are unbelievable, and I want to thank you so much for spending so much time with us here on TVO tonight. And what does one say? Viva Alex Trebek and all of the rest.
Thank you, Steve.
Yes, thank you, Steve, for having us.
The Agenda with Steve Paikin is brought to you by the Chartered Professional Accountants of Ontario. CPA Ontario is a regulator, an educator, a thought leader, and an advocate. We protect the public. We advance our profession. We guide our CPAs. We are CPA Ontario. And by viewers like you. Thank you.